Cool. Well, welcome, guys, to another episode of the Powerhouse Mentality. I'm your host. I'm Caitlin Kenna Smith, and today we have a very special guest. And I've been excited to have this lady on for a while, and we've been going back and forth talking about when we're going to make it happen. Finally, making it happen. So today on the podcast we have Dara. So Dara Flores, and it's Dara spelled Sarah without the H, and then pronounced Sarah with a D, because I fucked that up for a really long time when we first communicated. And you know what? The best part about that, Dara, is that you never corrected me until like randomly. You were like, "Oh, by the way."
Yeah, absolutely.
So both Dara and I are coaches right now for Hidden Summit, and we started off as clients. And today I have Dara on because she has a really good story, and I want her to share that story and add value to all of the listeners. So we're gonna just kind of kick it off, talk a little bit, talk some shit, have a conversation, and Dara's going to tell her story. So I know you want to start kind of right from the beginning, and tell me how it starts.
Yeah, and first of all, thank you for this opportunity to tell my story on your platform and just to be a part of it all and be able to hopefully add some value to
Fuck
the
yeah.
listeners. So yeah, I kind of want to take it back to to the beginning and some beginnings. This is actually before I was born. My mom, this is a really cool story that she shared with me, and I hold it dearly in my heart as, hey, I'm here for a purpose, on purpose, and with a lot of will from my mom taking action and,
Mhm.
doing things that just hold a really good special place in my heart. And it just starts with like when I was in the womb. It's kind of weird to talk about, but she had an issue with something that she didn't know if she needed to have it surgically removed or what, and it just was something that she asked a lot of people, asked a lot of doctors, what do I do? What do I do with this? And honestly, a lot of people said, the only way to get rid of it is to cut it out and take it out. And they're like, well, she's like, well, that's just not going to work for me. So I need better answers than that. So she asked more answers, asked more questions, found a book, read the book, realized that food is medicine.
Man, that
Food
sounds like
fixes.
something you would do.
I know, right? It's like followed right through.
Mhm.
But yeah, she persevered through a tough time and didn't allow one answer to be the end of her story. And something that really just like resonates with me and just like I feel it every time she tells me the story is one person told her this could affect her later in her life. It might not affect her right away, but it could possibly be something that she would have to deal with later in her adult life. And she made a decision to act differently and let a direction that she read a book um, that helped her clean up her diet. And here I am with feeling just really protected by my mom. But that actually led into, and this is where I'm kind of going with that. That led into in my youth, I had to read labels. The way I was born was very clean eating, so by my mom, so I was very prone to allergic reactions from most processed foods, and
Mm.
a lot of foods had high fructose corn syrup, and that was one of the things that I could not consume. So I was a food label reader from the beginning.
Funny, I didn't know
uh,
that story.
yeah, so I love it because then, and in my 20s, 30s, like I didn't know what that meant. Like I heard the story, but it didn't really like do anything until later in my journey, I discovered this is my purpose, this is my passion. It all aligned full circle, and now I'm here to help other people through food, through food movement and all the other good stuff.
Yeah,
So
you
wanted to
do a really
share
good
that little
job at
piece.
it too.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
So
I know that, like, since I met you, like one of the biggest things we connect on was like you are obsessed with like learning so much new information. And that's like one of the things that I always talk about is like always be learning, never stop learning, because once you stop learning, then you become complacent and you're like stuck. Basically, you're done, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
I
tell
learned a
me
little
a little
about
bit,
that from you too.
yeah. Well, tell me a little bit how you got started with Hidden Summit, because I don't think I've ever actually heard that story. Because I know you were literally like the OG, right? You were like one of Kevin, if not Kevin's
2020.
first client. Like when the world shut down and Kevin was like, "Hey, we're gonna start this thing." Kevin and Derek got together and they were gonna start Hidden Summit. We're gonna have both of those people on eventually on this podcast, but to be determined when that is. But how did you get started with Hidden Summit? Because you're in Colorado, they're in New York. How?
Yeah, it's a great story. I'm gonna take it back just a little bit
Yeah, do
on
it.
that and not go from the 2020 when we connected, but back in 2017, um, I was approached by a friend that, and just a little caveat here, I never, dieted or
Mm-hmm.
did anything. I just started tracking macros at this point, just kind of
Yeah.
learning what that even meant back in 2016. Kind of just started working out, like training, working out like 27, 28. So like kind of new to the space. Always been an athlete, but new to weight training and what all that entitled. But in 2017, there was a big breakup. I was, filling my sorrows with weights. And I had a friend that was a former bikini competitor
Mm-hmm.
for bodybuilding, and she wasn't new to the area. And she's like, "Hey, will you work out with me? I need friends." Da da da. She's like, "Do you train like this every day?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." She's like, "Oh my gosh, can I train you to get on stage to do bikini bodybuilding?" And I looked at her like she was crazy, first of all, because I was
Yeah.
like, what? Like, I only see these people from the distance, and
Mm-hmm.
that shit looks a little scary. Like,
Yeah. Oh
that's
yeah.
not, and that's just not my nature. Like, I'm not someone that wants to stand in front of people and be looked at like on stage, half naked with
Yeah.
heels on. Like, absolutely not. And then judging me? No.
Right.
So,
Completely out of your comfort zone. And it's just like, cool, let's dive in.
yeah, not Dara at all. If you know me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, wow, this is an opportunity to do something different, scary, uncomfortable. And this person is giving me a chance and themselves. And she literally said, "I will do this for free if you show up every day." And I made that commitment to her. And it was the coolest thing ever because I did it, for one. But for two, it was like I learned something new. I learned that I can do some pretty hard shit at this point.
Yeah. And that's
Um,
really what like bikini, like any sort of like prep for like bodybuilding or bikini prep. Like I think one of the reasons why I even did it in the first place when I did do it was to just like prove to myself that I could, right? I feel like it's one of those
yeah,
things that like you check it off the box and it's like, well, that was the hardest thing I've ever done. Now I can do everything.
yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, it was great. I placed. It was my first time. I wanted to do it again. Uh, had to had to realize that it wasn't in the cards to do it again because I was really diving deep into my career at this point, and I knew I had to pick one because when I do something, I give it 100%, and I couldn't split that. It was just not doable. But what that brought along for me was an obsession, like literally obsessed with this. I'm this size that I've never been since I was like a kid, but I'm this size and obsessed with numbers. I'm obsessed with tracking. I'm obsessed with I gotta cardio my face off
Oh God,
to
yeah.
survive.
We've all been there.
We've all been there, right? Yeah. So it created this unstable like thought of life, like, and I couldn't separate it for the longest time. So I ended up getting the position that I wanted with my job and got promoted and moved to Houston, because at the time I was in Northwest Arkansas. Shout out to Fayetteville. Uh, but yeah, so I went to Houston by myself, knew zero people, to take this corporate job. And here I am, still trying to do the same thing I was doing back in prep in real life. And I wasn't getting anywhere. And that was 2018. And then I was trying, I met some people. So I started, living, going outside, drinking, having some good foods in Houston, doing the things, but still trying to like maintain this like idea, this expectation of what I wanted to look like, what I wanted to, be as a person. And I just couldn't keep up. So it kind of just pulled on some depression, a little bit of like, I don't understand why this won't work kind of situation. And I started getting in, I kind of was affiliated with First Form at this time. A friend of mine from Arkansas told me who they were, and I started buying some supplements. So leading into 2019, early 2020, I saw a giveaway from First Form Elite Athlete Cabin. And I was like, ooh, yeah, I want to be a part of that giveaway. Like,
I want to
I
win
like
free
free
shit.
shit.
Yeah.
Exactly. Who doesn't? So, part of it was, hey, follow Hidden Summit, jump into the Facebook group, and then did that. And he's like, hey, let's get on a call. We jumped on a call, and I was vulnerable. I was like, I'm stuck. Like, I feel like I can't get anywhere. So that's kind of where I started with Hidden Summit, just putting community around myself and realizing that I needed to be a part of something to help me, because I didn't know where to go.
Yeah. So at that point, like early 2020, you were still kind of doing the things that you were doing when you were prepping for that bikini show, like still like obsessively tracking macros and doing a lot of cardio and things like that. But now you're just in a different spot.
Yeah, for the most part, I started, lifting more weights, but I was still doing the fasted cardio, because that's a winner all day. Fasted cardio, let's go.
Yeah. I love to say that if you're waking up early to do fasted cardio and sacrificing sleep, it's like you're stepping over $100 bills to pick up pennies.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's not as great as it sounds. Cooler than it is. Let's just put it that
it
way.
definitely does sound kind of like fasted cardio. You're going to burn pure fat. Yeah, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah, it's intense. It's intense. That's why I do it. No, but to be honest, like going into working with Kevin, like I was just there as a member, just posting in the group. You know, I wasn't I wasn't paying for anything at this point. Like I didn't have Kevin as my coach. It was more or less I decided what my macros were, so I was still living the restrictive life, like
Oh
under
yeah.
the wing of them, just doing all the things. Living in Houston, I was training outside in 100-degree weather. Yeah, I made results with them because I believe it was the community aspect that held me accountable to getting those results.
Yeah.
But the thing about that is like I lost 17 pounds in the first challenge with him and the community, eating 1,400 calories.
Yeah.
But I did, and it felt good. I was like, oh yeah, figured it out, It's like finally got it. But then so then the world shut down. I came out to Arkansas, to Colorado. My brother was stationed out here at the time. He's like, just do your job from home here. I'm like, deal, let's go.
Yeah.
So then I put myself back into a place of, okay, now I'm not in my bubble and there's temptations again and da da da. And I can't be as restrictive anymore because I'm not in the challenge, right? I'm living life again.
Right.
And guess what? I gained my weight back and then some.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe I didn't figure it out.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm. So you almost went from like you were like dialed in for this challenge, right? Just almost as if like you were dialed in with that bikini prep where you saw those results.
mm-hmm.
And then as soon as you
Yep.
got out of like that challenge or that prep, you were like, well, I can just do whatever the fuck I want. And you weren't able to sustain the lifestyle that you had. So you just kind of went on the other end. Does that kind of sound right?
Oh, absolutely, 100%, 100%. That is like what I was doing. I was living the yo-yo lifestyle, like
Mhm.
100%. And it was hard. It got me, I guess I can go into the next thing is like it just got me to this place of depression. Like
Yeah.
I was like, I don't, I can't do this. Like the second I get it, I can't live life because I'm just consumed by it. Like I can't have people in it. I can't have relationships. I can't, do this and that. So what's the point? You know, I was so yeah, couple, let's see, that was I didn't was it 2022? Um Leading up to when you and I started working together, the I read a book.
Oh yeah.
This book literally changed my life. Shout out to Sean Stevenson,
I knew it
the
was gonna be
model,
this one.
the model health show. Sean Stevenson. Uh, it's called Eat Smarter. And if you don't have the book, highly recommend that you get the book because that book, like, literally changed my life.
I
It's
second that.
like
It's a phenomenal book. Good shit.
it's my food Bible. It's my food Bible for
And just
sure.
like let me just like
Um,
take a moment to appreciate how Sean articulates things to make it so
oh,
easy for like a normal person who's not like into nutrition to actually understand and want to continue reading. Because the amount of times I've read a nutrition book, and I'm like a nerd, so like I love that shit. But the amount of times I've read a nutrition book and been like, I can't recommend it to any of
boring.
my clients because they're not going to want to read this. But Eat
Mm-mm.
Smarter, I recommend it to every one of my clients at this point.
It's fun, it's engaging, it's
Mhm.
like there's humor, there's information. It's easy to absorb, and
Yeah.
that's 100%. Um, yeah, so I read that book at the beginning of because I started listening to his podcast, and then I was like, let me get this book. And I read the book. And the next thing I knew, I'm like, oh, this has like opened a door of hope.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times why we get stuck is because we don't have hope. We think, well, my genetics. Well,
Hmm.
this thing is the reason, so there's no point anymore. And that's kind of where I was. I was stuck. I was stuck in a place of like not understanding or even just having the education to take that next step because I just didn't have like I knew one way to do it,
Yeah.
and that way was not working. It wasn't sustainable. So there was an actual like assignment that I got from Sean that I still have to this day, and I share it with some of my clients and use the same practice to help them kind of get out of their way. And it's writing down the things that are literally holding you back from getting what you want. And if you can like point those out and be like, okay, it's it's my genetics, it's restrictive dieting, it's whatever that is that's holding you back, it's my kids, it's whatever, like like this is the reason why there's food in the pantry and I eat it. Okay, own it. Like tell me what that is. Now the next step of it is what are the solutions? So it really gets you opening your mind to like ideas, because a lot of times we just take that thought and that's the end of the story. We don't come up with solutions because you name it. This is what I am. This is why I can't do it. Instead of saying, what are the solutions? Let's think about this. And when I wrote those down, I didn't honestly know how powerful it was until I looked at that paper 1 year later
Hmm.
and was like, dang, that shit works.
Yeah. That's the craziest part about like little things like that you don't think are really going to make a huge impact. And then you look at it like it's the same thing as like, I'm just doing this. I'm hitting my protein. I'm weight training every day. And then you look back a year later, and you're like, holy shit, look at how much progress I've made in this year by just doing these small things that I didn't even think were relevant in the moment.
Exactly. Exactly. So that opened my capacity to realizing that it didn't have to be so black and white. And there was something I just didn't understand yet, and I wanted to understand. So I reached out to Kevin and was like, okay, I'm ready this time, because I was, wishy-washy back and forth, doing it
Yeah.
here, kind of not doing it. And I said, I'm ready, because I did the assignment. I wrote my plan of like, this is what I want to be in a year. I like literally wrote specific details about it. And I wrote my why. In that moment, my why was, you know, just because I want to help people. I didn't know how I was going to help people. I didn't know I was going to be a coach. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like, I knew I wanted to help I wanted purpose. Working in a corporate job, I'll be honest, doesn't give you much purpose in life. So, little train of thought that just came up. When I was in Houston, I was searching for my purpose so hard
Mm.
that I almost went into firefighting, because I'm like, hey, let's do this.
I
That'll give
could
me
see
a
you being a
purpose.
firefighter. I could totally see that. It's like one of those
Yeah.
badass people that I could see doing like all that kind of shit.
Yeah, all the gear, and just, going and running into fire instead of away from them.
Yeah. Well, let's
But
let's go to that for a second, because I feel like a lot of people do struggle to find their purpose, because I have a lot of conversations with people where I'm like, I'm living my mission, my vision, my purpose through coaching and through all of this, but like they are so confused on how to even come about it. Now, what I tell them generally is like, usually it finds you, like you don't find it. But like kind of
mm,
how did it come to you? Because I know you said you wanted to help people and you didn't really know what that looked like, but
I feel like it came to me, like, to be honest, because I was searching. Like, I was like, do I need to like go help with the youth at a local church, or like, do I need to be a firefighter, or what do I need to be? Like, because I didn't know, like, I didn't have the school at the time for being a coach. Like, I never like thought about that, even though people were like, oh, you would be an amazing personal trainer. And I was like, I don't know, like, that just
yeah,
sounds kind of scary.
you have a little bit of like
But
that imposter syndrome before you put in the work, right?
yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was. So it's like, it was in there from the beginning. But it was like I didn't know until it exposed me to finding, and it was really me going through my journey that we're going to talk about in a minute, that really opened up that door of like, oh my gosh, it's
Hmm.
right here. Like,
Yeah.
this is what it is.
Yep.
So it just showed itself for me when I was out there searching in some weird places.
Yeah. I feel like in order to actually find your purpose, you do need to be like curious and take action on that curiosity to like see if like, okay, does this work? Does this not? And be willing to experiment. But at the end of the day, like when you find that purpose, it's going to find, it's kind of like when you're looking for a relationship, you're always like on these dating apps and you find the person that you're meant to be with when you least expect it. They just kind of come into your life and you're like, oh, cool. Hi. Same thing with your purpose.
Yeah, I agree. And that's how it came for me, through the development of me,
Yeah.
in my journey. And we can talk about that
Yeah.
if you're
That's,
ready.
yeah, I'm ready for it, Dara. I'm ready. So you reached out to Kevin. You said, hey, I'm ready for this. Like, I'm not wishy washy anymore. Like, I want to do this now.
Yes, that's exactly it. The call. Okay, I'm gonna talk about this just a little bit. I had a call with him before Jack by July started,
Mm-hmm.
2022. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I told him, I said, listen, like, I'm struggling with this thought, this idea right now, and I want to talk about it. And he's like, Kevin, let's talk about it.
Let's hop on a call. That's why I
Let's
love that
talk
man.
about it. But yeah, I was like, listen, like my job wants me to get this, they're rooting for me to take this promotion, and it's the promotion I've been waiting for.
Right.
Granted, I've been with this company for um going on, it's 11 and a half years. So this was, at my 10-year time. Yeah, around that. And the job that I've been wanting since I was at a branch level was this corporate national, position, and that's what I wanted. But
Yeah.
then when the time came and my life looked a little different, it was brought kind of like presented itself again. Hey, you should apply for this, this is what you've been wanting. And I'm like, I need to think about that.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Because the trade-off, yeah, I was like, I don't feel like that's what I want anymore. That
Mhm.
doesn't serve me anymore. And that's something that like you get to decide. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't serve me anymore. So no, I don't want it. The money looked good,
Yeah, it
but
did. I'm sure.
the time exchange, the trade-off for the money didn't make sense to me for what I wanted to give back to, you know, just my purpose, give
Yeah.
back to the world. So I struggled, and he helped me, kind of diagnose that a little bit. And he says, well then don't, like then don't take it. Like, and I was like, yeah, why am I even talking about it?
Mhm.
So that was the first change, the first thought of me saying, it's something different.
Yeah.
It's not this. So yeah, we Jack by July.
Yes.
Um, he's like, it was funny. Like, I remember that when I signed up for it, I was like, hey, was I supposed to get a coach? And he's like, oh, yeah, hold on.
Oh
And then
shit.
all of a
Yeah.
sudden, Caitlin Kenna, papa,
Hello.
surprise,
That was
tuku.
like the funniest thing about Jack by July, because that's when Hidden Summit really took a huge shift when we hired
Yeah.
all of these coaches. We hired like I think there was like
Hmm.
5 or 6 of us, and we
Yeah.
all got hired. And I remember we had this like onboarding call, and then Kevin was like, "You guys ready? We're gonna go like 0 to 60. I'm gonna give you guys all these because we have Jack by July." And remember I was at Stone's parents' house, and I get like 30 fucking text messages, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can't do this." So you were one of those.
Here we go. Here we fucking
Yeah,
go.
it was literally 60. So I was like,
Yeah.
here comes in Dara. All right. And I remember us getting on a call, all 3 of us, because
Yeah.
I know at first you were a
Yeah.
little bit like, I don't know if
I was,
you're like,
no, it was a
Kevin, I know
trust
you.
thing.
Who the fuck is this Caitlin person?
It was a trust thing, 100%. And, we can all contest to like how we trust someone else. And we're like, no, I want to work with you. You're my person, not you. Who are
Yep.
you? But I was open, Kevin trusted you. So I trusted Kevin, right?
Yep.
So it was like, well, I'm going to lean into this and see what we can do. And we all got on a call. You said, what we were going to do. I was like, let's go. Because I was all in. I said, I don't know everything. And that's when I started learning, is when I stopped thinking I knew everything and started
Yep.
taking the ability to take new information and apply it.
Yeah. I
And that was
get on that
literally
call.
the change.
Damn. I remember
Yeah.
that call like it was literally yesterday. It was like a 3-way call,
Seriously.
all 3 of us.
Yeah.
And I was like, I
I
remember
know
going
exactly.
on it. I was like, I'm nervous because I know exactly the position that she's in. Because at that time, I'd been coached by Kevin for like 2 years, and he was like, "Hey, I'm not going to be taking clients, and I kind of want to move to Eric." And I was like, "The fuck is this Eric guy?" And I was like, "Oh, now
Yeah.
like, a year and a half later, I'm like, I love Eric. He's the best human being ever." But I
Right.
remember getting on that call, and we were talking about, okay, like you're eating like 1,400 calories, you're doing X amount
Yeah.
of carbs, you're stuck. Like we have to eat more food. And
Yeah.
tell me kind of where your head was at in that moment.
I was scared. I was scared shitless to
I
eat more
remember.
food. 100%. I put it, like I showed it to you. I was like, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
this has been fine for me. But then I realized, okay, I don't know everything. Let's just see what happens. What's the worst that could happen? I gain
That,
weight? Cool, I've done that.
yep. Been there, done that. I know how to lose it, right? I can restrict myself. So there's a solution, right?
Yeah, hey, yeah, it's not at the end of the day. But from reading the book and from going through a couple of things before walking into it, it made a little bit more sense. I was
Mm-hmm.
still scared of it, but it made more sense. Because I've never done it before. I never
Mm-hmm.
did it differently. I've only done it one way.
Mm-hmm.
So just going into that was like, hey, and I think I text you or we talked and I said, listen, I'm leaning into this. I'm going to be open to asking questions that I keep in my head, and I'm going to ask these questions, and I'm leaning into the process. And you're like, let's freaking go. Like,
I
I'm
remember
excited
that
for
because I
you.
remember being like, all right,
Yeah.
let's fucking go. Because, the most annoying thing, and I know you can attest to this with the client, is like when they want something and you want it probably more than they want it.
Yeah.
They're almost
100%.
interested in it and they're not fully committed to it. But like
Yeah.
when you sent me that text, I was like, okay, she's fucking all in. Let's go. Here, let's increase your calories. And it was like, oh, okay, let's do it. Head down, just
Okay.
move forward.
Yeah. And we're doing it. And, um, and another thing, like just asking questions that I kept, how do you say, like rent free in my head,
Yep.
like that, like literally, like understanding that I didn't have to follow the calorie burn on my watch. Like that thing held me back a lot.
Mm.
And it seems so silly, like to think that I was being regulated by, oh, if I don't burn this many calories on my watch and I eat this much food, like it doesn't make sense to me how I'm going to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I was so stuck there. That's what kept me limited. That was a limited belief for me because I was like, it doesn't make sense
Yep.
at the
Yep.
time. So I asked you, I was like, well, when you're increasing my calories, like I'm only burning this much compared to my watch. What's up with that? What does that mean? And you're like, Dara, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. I don't know how you said it, but it was like, stop looking at your watch.
Take the
Like,
watch off, throw it in the trash. Because like
throw it in the trash
I
and
can
let's
get like
go.
that too. Like I look at my Whoop, like right now I'm eating like 3,000 to 3,100 calories a day. And I look at my Whoop and it's like, you burned 2,400 calories today. And I was like, well, bullshit, because I'm not gaining any weight. So like, you tell me.
Yeah, you tell me, right? Exactly. So once I separated myself from that thought, I, I couldn't even tell you the last time I looked at my calorie burn in my Whoop. Like that's how much I've worked on this. Like I don't even pay attention to that anymore. I just
I just
eat
use it for
food
sleep
and
and
train
recovery.
and
And like, I like to see how like, oh, this training session completely demolished my body versus this one that I did.
exactly. So that was something that really helped me. And then just you pouring into me and kind of like coming along for the ride. Like I wasn't doing this alone and it was scary. So like when you do something scary, you're like, well, I don't know if I could do that. That sounds pretty intimidating. But when you have a coach, like literally right there in your pocket of like, oh my gosh, I can't move on right now because I'm freaked out about this. And then
Yep.
you can pose the question and they're like, hey, you're good. Let's keep going. And you're like, okay, cool. I'm good. Let's keep going.
Yeah. I think
Like it just
that's like one of the
takes,
best parts about having a coach is like for so many people, like they psychologically fuck themselves up.
oh yeah.
So
Oh,
like
absolutely.
what happens is somebody might be like, all right, I heard on this podcast or I heard this person say that like I'm eating too little. I should probably increase my calories. Maybe then I'll start seeing results. They increase it. And then because they're eating fucking more food and they haven't done it long enough, the scale goes up a little bit. And then they're like,
They're
oh,
like,
well, nope,
nope, nope.
I gotta eat less. I gotta do more cardio. And they completely mess themselves up, which is
Yeah, yeah,
important to have that like logical person who's going to keep you focused instead of like having you just be all emotional, you know?
yeah, yeah. The emotions that limits us as well. Like
Yeah,
we
a
get
lot of
caught
people
up
let
in
their
that.
emotions drive their decisions when emotions are temporary and logic
Mm,
is permanent. So think of it like that. Like if you
yeah,
have somebody who's going to hold you accountable and if you trust that person enough to hire them as a coach, then you better trust them enough to follow the process that they're giving you because they don't want you to fail. They want you to
yeah,
succeed. So they're not going to tell you to do something that's going to cause you to gain weight unless they're like a manipulative human, which in that case, you should do your research when you're hiring a coach and not hire a
Yeah, no psychopaths. Yeah, absolutely. Like, and just taking that wall down and saying, let me, and everyone heard it before, trust the process,
Yeah, fucking
right?
trust the process. I tell it to people all the time, just like they need it like stapled on their forehead.
Yeah, staple it somewhere, but
Yeah.
but it's like, I don't know. It was just a lightning, like a lightning of my body, of this feeling of like holding on to all these thoughts and beliefs and doing something completely different that didn't make sense at the time, but I was
Yeah.
learning. And then as I'm going through my journey with this reverse diet, I was reading the books. I
Mhm.
was just pumping my brain of like more information because I'm like, I need to learn about this.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, I'm learning from you as my coach, but doesn't mean we can't learn more by ourselves.
Definitely.
And then I invested in NCI and went through the nutrition course, their level 1 nutrition course, and that was like, wow, that was
Yeah.
great. Poured all that new information into me. So then I'm like, have all these little buckets of information to kind of pull from and be like, okay, this all makes sense now. So let's keep going. And I went from being 153 pounds at my most
Hmm.
to like literally well, I weighed in like a week ago and I was 133.
Yeah.
And
And
I don't diet hard.
yeah, you're
Like,
eating. So like I know that you recently did like a cut, right, for
yeah,
75 hard.
but I
And
did a cut for
yeah,
literally a week of a cut, and the other part was just a little cut.
right. And the
Let's
funny part
just
about it is
make
that when
sure
we
I,
first started working together, right, you were eating 1,400 calories around that area. Now,
yeah.
how much did you cut on more, right? It was like 16, 17.
Yeah, I mean, the lowest I've ever been since then was 1600.
Yeah. And you were
Yeah.
dropping weight.
I was dropping weight. Yeah, for
And
sure.
what's the highest you got to?
21 2100. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason why, because I think at that point, because right now we're not working together anymore, but at
Mm.
that point, I believe when we were still working together, and you were like, I just feel like I'm eating so much food, like I'm not,
Yeah.
like, I need to eat, I'm ready to eat less, and
Yeah.
that's usually when
Yeah.
you know, like you're done reverse dieting, you can actually, your body's in a really good spot where you can do a cut, and you're not gonna fuck yourself up.
Yeah. That's what it was. I was like, I am exhausted of eating.
Yeah.
I've never ate so much in my life. And I feel amazing, but I'm done eating.
Yes. Now, when you went from 14 and we slowly like climbed up to 2,100, you didn't gain weight, correct?
No, there was a period where it didn't move,
Mm-hmm.
but we never went. I never gained.
Yeah.
Um
And
there
I'm
and
still gonna put your photos up like when I post about this on my Instagram, and I will
Yeah.
revert everybody who's listening to my Instagram, which is always in the link down below. And of course, Dara's gonna be down there. We'll collaborate on this post, and I'll put her before and after, so you can see, okay, where was she at when we first got on that phone call versus
Oh
where
man.
she's at today.
Yeah. That
That'll
was a
be there.
hard picture to take.
It's an insane
Especially
photo. It's an insane
especially
transformation.
being someone that was on stage judged like literally so many, years prior to looking at that person, I was devastated.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, got a little emotional there.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
happening.
like, wow, like what the is going on here? But I knew my story wasn't over. I'm a
Yeah.
fighter through and through, and I knew like I'm positioned purposely. Um, I needed to go through that.
Yeah.
Like I agree, I 100% believe that I needed to go through that so I could help so many more people.
Yeah. And I think that's like one of the biggest ways that you can look at these challenges that we go through in life. Like if you have the right mindset, then your struggles on the other side is going to be the best version of yourself, because you're going to come out of that journey with so much knowledge and experience on what not to do, what to do, and what works and what doesn't work. And then you can help other people who are in the same spot that you were in, because one, you feel that, like, you know how that feels, and you don't want anybody to be in that same position because you know how much it hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the quote I heard the other day was, we're perfectly positioned to help the person we once were.
Is that Ed Milet?
I don't know.
I feel
I
like
heard
he
it from
said
somebody
something like
else, but
that. I
he
never
quoted
know, like,
somebody.
I feel like I hear all these quotes and I'm like, who the fuck actually said that? Because that's really good. So
That was
yeah,
really
no,
good.
that's an amazing quote because it's so fucking true. It's so
Yeah.
fucking. So it's like, even if like you're one of those people who's in that position where you're struggling through something, like, keep pushing, not just for you, but for people who can potentially help you and can watch and listen to your story in the future and find drive from that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It doesn't seem, it seems like less doable in the moment because you feel defeated, but
Definitely.
it's just making literally, it's like stacking days, stacking them over and over, like, oh, one that day, one that day, one that day. Next thing you know, you have a string of days together and you're just riding high in that momentum. You start feeling good. You start seeing the changes. And next thing you know, you're like, I can do anything I put my mind to.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And why we do what we do, right? So
Yeah.
you went through this journey, like, you realized, like, oh shit, I can eat a lot. I'm performing better. I'm stronger. I feel the best I've ever felt, more confident. I'm changing these belief systems. And you went through the NCI program. So now you're a coach. What happened?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I went all in on myself again.
Okay, you did.
And just to point this out, just in case people don't know me, I started this at 40. 40. So when I hear people say, well, I should have done it when I was 20, I should have done this then, I don't know if I should start now, fucking just start.
Yeah.
Like now, today, yesterday. Like just start.
Yep.
Like we deem this the age to limit us with this thought of like, I'm too old, I'm too this, I'm too that. Like, just do, if you want it, just do it.
Yep. That's it.
100%.
Like, nobody
Yeah.
can do it
Like,
for you. You're the only person who can actually do it. And like, age is
yeah.
literally a fucking number. Like, if you're
Yeah.
gonna attach yourself to that age, do that, but that's gonna limit yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna keep you from finding that fire.
Yeah, 'cause the
Like
amount of
I was
people
able
who be
to.
like, I can't be a coach. I'm 40. I've been in this career for a decade. I can't do this. I should just hang on to this career because I've been in it so long. But that's
Yeah.
literally limiting yourself. Like, our
Hmm.
obligation on this planet is to squeeze out every little bit of potential. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what you're doing and what you've done since I've known you.
Yeah.
I don't know you
Yeah.
to skip things. I know you to go all in and like ask questions and always be willing to do more and more.
Yeah. I skipped some cheat meals here and there, but that's about all I skipped.
Skip some cheat meals here and there. Hey, what? You know, the funny thing is that when I first started, the first time I ever did 75 hard, before I did that, I was that person who was like, I always have a cheat meal on Friday. And then I remember the first week that I did 75 hard and I didn't have a cheat meal on Friday. I woke up on Saturday and I was like, oh wow, I can go more than 6 days without having a cheat meal.
Yeah.
And then you're
Yeah.
like, okay. And you realize that, like, oh, the food that I eat, it makes me feel so fucking good. Like, if you do it the right
Yeah.
way, you eat enough and you're not
You
restricting
don't have
yourself,
to
then
have
yeah,
cheat meals. It's
exactly.
like you just eat balanced and you feel great and you can make things work more than you think. And you don't have to have a quote unquote cheat meal, which I hate the phrase because
I hate that phrase. Yeah.
it's like, okay,
Just eat
kind of
food.
went off
And, you know,
on
like,
a,
if you have a cookie, then cool, have a cookie, enjoy it. And then guess
yeah,
what? The next decision, you can have chicken and rice, whatever, you know?
yeah, chicken rice and broccoli. Let's go.
Hell yeah. That's that bodybuilding stuff. Every time I get on a call with
Oh,
Justin and we're talking about meals, I'm like, yeah, one of my favorite meals is like chicken, broccoli, and rice. He's like, Caitlin, what are you, like a fucking bodybuilder? I was like, I was, Justin, I was.
by the way, yes.
Yes.
You know,
So now
rice
you're
cakes,
a coach. How long have you
pineapple.
been a coach within Summit for?
Let's see, what is it? September?
Yes.
Like 10 months? 10
Damn, it's
months?
almost been a year. Flies
Yeah,
by.
it's
Shit.
moving right along. Yeah, so I dove in, did my NCI and got the job offer and late, December, and I was beyond thrilled. Like big time goals of mine was to, one, be a coach and help people, but two, do it with the company that I believe in, like through and through the mission. I know the mission. I've been a part of it since the beginning, and like it embodied who I am. And I was like, I want to be with this.
Yeah.
Like, so it's been great. Like, I love every bit of it. And I get
Oh
to
yeah.
work with cool people like you.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I mean, we're the coolest team in the planet. Every time I get on a call with people, I'm like so excited just to see everybody.
Yeah, like, hey guys. Well, sometimes I'm working and I'm like, can't see
Yeah.
you guys.
So now we got your story up until this point. So what I want to know, Dara, is like, what's next? Like, what are you working
Oh
on?
man.
Do you know?
Well, what am I working on with my body?
With everything.
With everything. Well, I'm currently working on completing my CPT certification through NASM for education purposes. Um, just working on obviously just being a better coach, being being a better human in general.
Always.
For physical, uh, I am working on a building stage right now. So
I
got some
see
more
you
food
training hard.
in. Yeah, I'm just lifting heavy, picking up heavy stuff and putting it back down. But I'm more the traditional, I'm traditional bodybuilding type movements, but I feel good. Like, yeah, I still do, my hikes, being out here in Colorado,
Yeah,
climb
gotta.
up mountains, all the things, bikes, hikes, all the things. But yeah, I'm just staying busy. I always like to have a goal in front of me, just to keep that drive alive, keep me pursuing something.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And that's exactly who you are. So,
Yeah.
Dara, I appreciate you sharing your story here because I know it's never easy to come on like a podcast and like get vulnerable and share your story. But I appreciate it more than you'll ever understand. And I'm so happy and blessed that I know you.
Yeah, same. Thank you again for having me here with all your amazing listeners, and you know, we'll do it again soon.
Definitely. Every time we'll always like come back and see where Dara's at. But is there anything
Where's Dara?
is there anything that you want to
Where's
say to
Dara?
people before you go?
Um,
You could tell
start
one,
before you're
okay,
ready.
let's do this. If you could say one thing to like get someone moving, what would it be? One piece of advice.
Start before you're ready. Do it scared.
Do it scared. That's so fucking great.
Literally, the way I showed up today was that I wasn't ready to get on a podcast and talk about this. Like, to be honest, full transparency, this scared the shit out of me. I overthought it for however many weeks that we've planned this for.
Yep.
And but here we are, and I feel better now that it's over. And that's what you can do with anything. Is it might be scary at the beginning because you don't know what it's like to do it, but once you do it, you're like, damn, I can do that and something else, and just keep adding to that pile. So yeah, start before you're ready and do it scared, because if you don't, then you're gonna stay stuck.
Yeah, guys. Time is something that we don't always have more of. We never know when it's going to end. So, like Dara said, start before you're ready. Do it scared, and go out and do one thing today that's going to take you one step closer to where you want to be. And